Welcome into Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, I appreciate you for joining us, and I hope all of you are enjoying your Sunday. You have to be enjoying it, right? The Philadelphia Eagles now, with the Kansas City Chiefs losing on the road against the Denver Broncos, have the best record in the National Football League, 7-1 going into this upcoming week against the Dallas Cowboys, and that obviously is going to have a lot of implications in the NFC East and in the NFC. But the San Francisco 49ers losing 3 consecutive games. So Philadelphia right now, through 8 weeks going into week 9, sitting in a very good position. And this team hasn't played their A game yet. And Philadelphia, once they can put everything together, if they can, this can be a scary team on the back half of the 2023 campaign. And could the Eagles look to get even better? I want to start on that, and then a lot of takeaways from this victory against the Washington Commanders. Because even though Howie Roseman and the Birds made that trade for Kevin Byard earlier this week, he made his Eagles debut. It's kind of hard to gauge exactly what he did. The only play that kind of stood out to me is when he got beat off the line by Logan Thomas, the Commanders tight end. Either way, I love the move. I've said that. We've talked about it. But could another move be in store for this team? Woke up this morning, I saw this tweet from Diana Russini. I had the alarm set at about 6:30 Central Time, and Russini tweeted this out a little after my alarm went off, that the Eagles want to make another move, even after adding safety and 5-time Titans captain Kevin Byard. I expect Howie Roseman to be busy on Monday morning. He's poking around at that linebacker position. Now, linebacker is a need on this team, and we're talking about off-ball linebacker. We're not talking about edge rushing linebacker. You already have Hassan Reddick. You have Nolan Smith. I do think linebacker is a position of importance, but I will say this too. Nakobe Dean has sniffed out a couple of really good plays against the run. I'd like to see his continued development. I also want to see more plays, and I want to see more action from a guy like Zach Cunningham, who I think has been really good for this team. And do you move on from a player like that who's actually played well for another linebacker to bring him in here? I also thought that Nicholas Morrow, when he was actually playing for the Eagles defense, he was playing well. At one point, he was the second highest graded off-ball linebacker in the game after Roquan Smith. Now, if the Eagles want to target a top-tier linebacker going into Tuesday's NFL trade deadline, and make sure you subscribe, because if the Eagles make a move, we're going to cover it here, then that's one thing. But I think the Eagles have some other needs. Is it wide receiver? I mean, Julio Jones caught that touchdown today from Jalen Hurts, rose up to take it, took a hit in the head, knew he was going to get popped, still came down with it. That was a great play from a future Hall of Famer. Do you look to upgrade from a player like that, or are you content with him being your wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4 with Olamide Zaccheaus and maybe Quez Watkins, if he's not on the outside looking in, being a factor at that wide receiver position? I think a position that I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles made a move at is at that running back spot. Jalen Hurts is dealing with this knee bruise right now. That's the report, and that's everything that we heard in the lead up to the game. It's a bone bruise in his knee for Jalen Hurts. So can you run the brotherly shove as much? The Eagles tried to run it inside the 5 at the goal line against the Commanders today, and Jalen Hurts did fumble that snap away. If you're looking to save his body a little bit and you want to make a trade for a Derrick Henry, you want to make a trade for another running back out there, I would not be surprised by that. Kenneth Gainwell also had a turnover inside the 5, as Philadelphia had 2 turnovers inside the 5 in this football game. Like I said, if they could put it all together, they're a scary football team. But it all comes down to if they could put it all together. So Kenneth Gainwell's been an issue this year. He's turning the ball over a lot. He's not picking up a lot of yards, doesn't have a lot of splash plays when he's in there. I will give him credit. He made an impact as a pass catcher at the end of the first half, and at points in the second half, able to redeem himself a little bit. DeAndre Swift is a gifted, special player, but for Swift, you're looking at a guy who's never been durable throughout his career. He's already on pace for the most touches in his NFL career. I will say, once he got the ball a little bit more in that second half, he was hurdling defenders. He was making guys miss. But can he hold up? And can those two and Boston Scott, because you're not playing Rashad Penny at this point, be your short yardage back? Or can you convince the Tennessee Titans with Derrick Henry in the final year of his deal to give you him after they basically gave you Byard as well as A.J. Brown? So I wanted to touch on that because I do think that Diana Rossini, very tapped into the NFL right now. Since going over to The Athletic, she's had scoop after scoop after scoop. She's hearing that Howie Roseman is still trying to make a move. She mentioned off-ball linebacker. That wouldn't surprise me. Running back wouldn't surprise me. Backup wide receiver would not surprise me. And then lastly, slot cornerback. It's an Eagles defense that really struggled today against Sam Howell. And the game plan for Washington was very clear. Get rid of the ball very, very quickly. And that's what they did. They executed flawlessly. The Eagles defense toward the end of that game did wear down Washington. The pass rush finally got home. Hassan Reddick served as that closer. And the secondary started to play a little bit better, but slot corner, another position to look out for as we go into Tuesday's deadline. That's why you subscribe to the show, because whatever moves the Eagles make, we have you covered here on Eagles Now with the video. We'll be going live as well. Thoughts on this game coming up and a Jalen Carter injury update. Stay tuned for that. First, though, Philadelphia Eagles Now, presented by PrizePicks. Head to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS for a up to $100 deposit match. You put in $100, you get $100 back. That's $200 to game with. And maybe you should tail me because I hit it out of the park with my picks here today. Not a humble brag, it's just factual because I hit. I had Devontae Smith, more than 4.5 catches. I thought that he was going to be able to go off. He did. It was about time that he went off. I had Joey Slye, more than 5.5 kicking points. That 61-yarder certainly helped them there. And then Hassan Reddick. He didn't get that sack until late in the game, but he's the Mariano Rivera of football, a closer. Huge sack there. He got that one. I chose more than 0.75 sacks. So be like me. Get in the game. PrizePicks. Largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America, prizepicks.com/CLNS. All of that information available for you down in the comment section right now. So some takeaways from this Eagles-Commanders game. I watch a team like the San Francisco 49ers, and when they've had to face adversity, when they've been punched in the jaw, they can't respond. That's not the sign of a championship-level team. A lot of you watching might be like, oh, you talk about the 49ers. You cover the 49ers. Yeah, but I also evaluate the game of football. I'm an NFL analyst, and I'm going to keep it a buck at all times, and I'm going to admit when I'm right, and I'm going to admit when I'm wrong. The San Francisco 49ers right now are a mentally soft team. The NFC right now, going into Week 9, is the Philadelphia Eagles conference to win. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. They might be the best team in the NFL after the Kansas City Chiefs lost on the road to the Denver Broncos. Whereas the Niners are mentally soft, the Eagles are mentally tough. They go down in this game early by multiple scores. They don't bat an eye. They keep fighting. Jalen Hurts, clutch once again. Second career game in which he threw for 4 touchdowns. The defense, after struggling all game, came up with stops when they needed to. They have dogs on both sides of the ball. They can beat you up on the line of scrimmage. And throughout the course of a 60-minute game, the Eagles' talent oftentimes wins out. Total offense, 374 yards today. Jalen Hurts, best game of the year. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 29 of 38, 315 yards. The ground game continues to be a problem, which is why I talked about a trade a little bit earlier on. 22 carries, 59 yards. Ever since Sua Opeta replaced Cam Jurgens, offensive line has not been the same. Running game has not been the same. And the Eagles, they did have 2 fumbles, right? I guess you can say that Jalen Hurts is credited with that turnover, but I think it was more on a bad snap for Jason Kelce and then Kenneth Gainwell with the giveaway as well. You overcome those 2 fumbles and you win this football game. It was pretty much a 14-point victory for Philadelphia. Time of possession split pretty evenly. The defense, we were scratching our heads during this watch party, myself and producer Chip, because they couldn't get off the field early in this game. They weren't playing press coverage. Commanders were getting rid of the ball really quickly. They were doing whatever they wanted to offensively. It was Washington. And for the Eagles, you know, they had the best game of the year against the Miami Dolphins. And then a week later, 472. Sam Howell is 39 of 52 for 388. They gave up 84 yards rushing, 5.3 yards per carry. The interception late came at a crucial time. Overthrow, Blankenship pick. It set up some Eagles points. That was really one of the turning points in this football game. And it goes back to what I talked about earlier, right? Like the Eagles' physicality, the Eagles' talent, the Eagles' coaching. You might be able to hang with Philadelphia for a little while. And then eventually that talent just wins out. This is a team, in my opinion, they shouldn't have lost to the New York Jets. They should still be undefeated right now going into this pivotal matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. The Washington game plan, clear from the jump. Their offensive line is bad. They wanted to get rid of the ball quickly to neutralize that pass rush. The Eagles had themselves to blame for this even being a game. And they have themselves to blame for some of the blemishes on their resume so far. Eagles are an elite team, but they shoot themselves in the foot a lot. They turn the ball over twice inside the 5-yard line. That is unacceptable. As for the Jalen Carter injury, he did leave with the back injury. Then he came back and had his helmet by him. So that tells me that Philadelphia thought about putting him in the game, but they wanted to hold him out. Jalen Carter had one of the bigger plays of this game. He got a hit on Sam Howell when he overshot the wide receiver. That would have been a touchdown. That's just a difference-making player right there. So Jalen Carter, hopefully he's okay, and that injury is not severe because Philadelphia is going to need him going up against the Dallas Cowboys. We have to do this postgame show and talk about A.J. Brown. What we're witnessing right now with A.J. Brown is one of the most special runs for a wide receiver in the history of this beautiful game of football. 6 straight games of 125-plus yards. Today, 8 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. One, the one-handed grab, which was highlight-worthy and just a ridiculous catch. And then the second touchdown, both of those, by the way, I thought they were good throws from Hurts, back shoulder, put it in an area where A.J. Brown can only catch it. The second touchdown, he rises up, he goes and gets it. He's double-teamed, and he is able to get physical to get past the goal line for a second score. Like what we're witnessing right now, you'd be hard-pressed to find another run like this in the history of football, and you might not ever see this ever again. So absorb it, take it in, appreciate it. 8 targets, 8 catches for 130. Washington tried to bracket him. They tried to double-team him. At one point, they brought in Emmanuel Forbes, who he cooked in week 4, to try to stop him. Nobody is able to stop A.J. Brown right now. And there is a legitimate conversation to be had of whether or not he is an actual MVP candidate. He is. It was really good to see Devontae Smith get going. 7 catches, 99 yards, and a touchdown. He broke free. A breakdown in coverage for Washington. For Smitty to get going, if you get him playing well and A.J. Brown playing well, Dallas Goedert with this running game. Shoot, Julio Jones comes in, targeted twice, 1 catch for that touchdown. It's an all-around offense that, why I've called Philadelphia the best team in football, they are multiple. They can win in multiple ways and in a variety of ways. Pass-heavy attack, running the football in a shootout, low-scoring game, a sloppy, grimy defensive game. That's why I really like the makeup of this Philadelphia Eagles team right now, and they're mentally tough. And that's what championship teams are, because you have to deal with adversity in this game. So some trade rumors off the top, some takeaways from this Eagles game. It is now Cowboys week. How about them Cowboys? The juices are going to be flowing all throughout this week, and we're going to provide you with the best coverage right here on the channel. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Trade deadline coming up on Tuesday as well. We'll keep you in the know with all of the latest on that front as well. Hit that sub button. Go Birds. Best team in the NFL right now.